Hi guys, good evening. What's up? So sorry, our guests had some technical issues on the previous live stream. All right, so we are starting this one off on in very early or earlier than anticipated. Okay, so you're coming in, like this live stream, like and share the live stream, like and share. Okay, so this is a victory party kind of live stream. You know how we do it here now. When our queens do very well in the international competitions, we come here to, to say kudos to them for a job well done over there in Poland. Okay, so it's of course it's no news that Nigeria really made history in Poland. For the very first time, we got to the third runner-up position in Miss Supranational Nigeria. Kudos to Gift Inda, and also Nigeria got to the top 10 in the male category. Of course, kudos to Chris, and it's been a very, I would say that Nigeria started off on a very strong note this year. Hopefully we get to, place in other pageants that are taking place before the year runs out. I think this is the first major pageant Nigeria has ever had, apart aside from Miss Aura International, Miss Echo, so this is the major third major pageants we've had this year, and we've had, of course, we've had placements from Aura International to Echo International to Miss Supranational, Mr. and Miss Supranational. We've had placements this year, so I think it's going to be a good year for Nigerian pageantry, because at this point we've had, placements, from the beginning of the year, to this time. And next month, was it is it next month, or Miss World is starting off very soon? I think on the 9th or 10th of this month, our representative will be leaving to Vietnam for Miss World pageant. So it's a lot. It's going to be a very busy pageant season for Nigeria, because shortly after Miss World, we have Miss Grand, Miss Grand, International. We also have Miss Cosmo coming up, Miss International coming up, Miss Universe coming up. So there's a lot of international competitions. And speaking of Miss Universe, Miss Universe Nigeria is gearing up to, reveal the contestants for this year's pageant. Of course, they've released the date, and the national pageant will take place on the 31st of August, which is this month. So obviously, Miss Universe Nigeria will soon crown their representative, and I'm very, I'm keenly anticipating the reveal, the almighty revelation of the finalist for this year's pageant. Okay, so I'll be talking about that in subsequent videos, but for this particular one, we are going to be celebrating our dearest contestants, Chris and Gift, who recently made the country proud at Mr. and Miss Supranational. And yes, for those of you that are watching, if you have anything to say, I'm going to be dropping the link very soon so that you can join in the conversation. All right, so the link has been dropped now. So if you want to, you want to join in the conversation, you are free to do so. But before then, we are going to be saying a kudos to our dearest representatives for doing us proud, for making the country proud. Because at the end of the day, I would not, I will be honest with you guys. After the preliminary competition for Miss Supranational, I was a bit down because, I wasn't really expecting, the prelims to go the way it went. I talked about that in my prediction video. When I was analyzing the African countries, I talked about the fact that Nigeria did not really give that 100% performance that we were expecting from her during the preliminary competition. And you guys know that before the prelims, Nigeria was topping the charts. In fact, Nigeria was tipped amongst the favorites to win. Going into the prelims. At the end of the after the prelims, my spirit was a bit down, but at the same time, I'm so glad that she was able to pick up in the finals, and she made the third runner-up position, which is a very, very huge feat for Nigeria in the history of Miss Supranational. Because, of course, the highest we've gone before now was top 20, 24 during the Sectra Okundaye's time. But now, last year we did not place. Of course, you guys know the story. But this year we placed, and we placed even higher. Okay, we made history this year. And the next Miss Supranational Nigeria has big shoes to fill in, because of course, who is, she has a what's her name? Sorry, Gibbs has raised the bar so high, obviously, for the next candidate that represented the country in Miss Supranational. So this is a huge victory for Nigeria, and a huge victory for Africa. Aside from the Nigerian placing high, we had four African countries in the top 24, which has not happened before. Even in history of Miss Supranational, I don't think we've had four countries making the four African countries in the top 24. And of course, my prediction was actually right. As apart from Zambia that did not make it, Tanzania made it from my prediction, Nigeria made it from my prediction, Namibia made it, and of course, Zimbabwe made it from my prediction. So it was a huge, 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 huge victory for Africa as well, because and two African countries actually made it onto the top 10, which were Nigeria and Zimbabwe. So I think it was a successful run, for the African countries in this year's Miss Supranational pageant, and even Mr. Supranational, because of course we had three African placements in the top 24, which is Nigeria, Zambia, and South Africa. And you guys know South Africa went all the way and got to the first runner-up position, you know, which of course Spain won at the end of the day. Nigeria got to top 10 in the male category, and Zambia won the continental title for Africa in the male category. In the female category, Tanzania won the Queen of Africa title, and yeah, you guys know Philippines won the pageant. But I have a different post-pageant analysis for Miss Supranational this year, because there were some lapses, in the results, but in the final results there were some lapses. But I'm going to save that for my post-pageant analysis, which I'm going to be posting very soon, for Miss Supranational. But at the same time, this particular live stream is to celebrate the victory of Nigeria in the pageant. Okay, so that is it, guys. For those of you that are here, please click on the link and join us if you have anything to say as regards the performances of the African countries. If you have anything to say, just let me know. Comment down in the comment section, or you can click on the link and join me on stage. All right, guys. So that is it. So I just wanted to, spend my own, my own, congratulations to Nigeria. And also, I mentioned that for me, if you know me over here, I don't sugarcoat. I noticed something, with pageant fans over here in Nigeria. And I want to just mention that briefly in this live stream. For you guys that have been watching me for the longest time, you know that I don't sugarcoat when it comes to certain things about my predictions, about my observations, about when it comes to contestants analysis. I don't sugarcoat. When I see something that is wrong, or when I see something that is not up to par, I don't hesitate to say it, because of course It's a pageant channel, and what I do over here is to criticize. Should in case our candidates are not really doing well, I just want to point it out to them because make it make sense. Whereby as a pageant analyst or a pageant blogger, I'm not really I'm saying telling you guys my own perspective. I'm just going with the flow, and I'm not really most of you here will still come here and condemn me and say, oh, Lady Abe, or rather Abe Krista, this thing that you said isn't the truth. Though we all know that this particular candidate did not do well, or she didn't live up to expectation. Then why are you not giving her marks? It's even on here on my channel that some persons will be telling me that, oh, why am I giving them higher scores when it comes to my evaluation or my analysis? People here also tell me that, why are you giving them high scores? These scores are too high, or why are you giving them low scores? It depends on your opinion about this a particular candidate. But at the same time, when you are making certain comments, you have to be very, very open, or you have to be open minded when it comes to pageantry, because at the end of the day, sometimes you might get it right, sometimes you might get it wrong. I might not be right all the time, but when I see something, from my experiences as a pageant analyst or pageant blogger, when I see things that are not really, when I see a candidate that is not really living up to expectation, I don't hesitate to say it here. When after the prelims, I made mentioned that I was pretty disappointed with Nigeria's evening wear performance, and also the reputation of her shoes. She repeated one shoe throughout the competition. In fact, I think the prelims she wore the same shoe she wore in the finals, and I'm like, what is going on? I talked about this in the finals. I think one of my subscribers also mentioned it, that she wore the same shoe for the swimsuit and for the um, evening wear. And I'm like, wow, thank God that I was not the only person that that observed that. If you go to my that video, you see that one of my subscribers mentioned talked about the shoes, and I'm like, why is Nigerian contestants, when they want to go for competitions, they don't prepare adequately? And we'll be talking about this for a very, very long time. In as much as we are celebrating these victories, we still have to point the places or the lapses that we have. Because at the end of the day, we might not be this lucky. That's just the truth. We might not be this lucky next time. But we need to make sure that whatever preparations or whatever we are preparing for a pageant, it needs to be 100%. It needs to be 100%. Because all these pageant bloggers, even in Asia and Latinas, they are watching. And also, if we in Africa, we as pageant bloggers in Africa, if we don't tell you the truth, who else will tell you the truth? Because those people, they don't even mean well for you. They might not make that observation, but they will say it in private. They might not come out and say it in public. But over here, we that have the interest of our candidates at heart, we want to say it and tell you guys that, oh, please change this, do that, because we have your interest at heart. And at the same time, please, when I criticize Nigerian representatives, I'm not coming from a place of, of bringing down the contestants, because that is the notion a lot of you are having, even on Instagram. I see a lot of comments here and there. Even some persons came to my DM saying that I'm bringing down Nigerian contestants. That is not what my channel is for. In as much as we are trying to promote the interest of Nigerian pageantry or the interest of Nigerian contestants, it doesn't mean that when we see something that is wrong, I will not point it out, or I won't talk about it. Then I'm not a good pageant blogger. That means I'm not even neutral. Because at the same time, I need to be neutral. I need to not be biased. Because of course I'm a Nigerian. I have, the tendency of supporting Nigeria. I have the tendency of saying, okay, because it's my country, let me support. But at the same time, it's good that as a pageant analyst or pageant blogger, you don't have to be so biased, because of course people will notice it. And right from time, over here on my channel, you guys know I don't sugarcoat. Right from time, even during Chidema's era, all the way to this time that I became, specifically, serious with pageantry, I don't sugarcoat. I don't come here to say, okay, because this person is from my country, let me do this, let me overlook certain things. No, I won't overlook it. I will say it here because that is what will make the person or the contestant to see reasons and say, oh, please, this is where I need to work on. This is the lapses we're having. This is where we need to work on. Because at the end of the day, forget about the pageant franchise holders going to lobby. Because we all know that, of course, there was some kind of lobbying on the ground and all that. Even if they go and lobby and do the needful, you need to live up to expectations so that at the end of the day, they will not say, oh, this person, they did not deserve to be in that position, you know That is just it. A lot of people have their own opinion. The same thing with me. And I'm not above criticism. You can also criticize me and say, oh, please, Abe Crystal, you were too harsh in this department. I think you need to tone it down or whatever. But I'm not that I'm not even harsh. When I look at the other pageant bloggers in Asia and in Latin countries, they are very blunt when it comes to speaking out. They're very blunt when it comes to speaking up about their queens, about their contestants. They don't sugarcoat. I'm even trying to, like, sometimes I even pet. I don't want to say I petty people or I pet contestants or I do. I'm just being logical. That's just the truth. I'm just being logical in my analysis. I'm being logical when I come out and speak. But at the same time, some myopic pageant fans do not understand where I'm coming from. They are talking out, they are speaking from their own perspective, but they fail to understand that I am not like them. I'm a analyst, a pageant blogger. I have to analyze from both sides. I have to balance it. I have to balance the equation. I have to look at both sides and say, okay, this person, this, that. I don't need to be biased. So please, 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 for those of you that are saying, oh, I am bringing down Nigerian, I'm not, this platform is not to bring down Nigerian contestants. I will never use my platform to bring down Nigerian contestants. I have never used my platform to bring down Nigerian contestants. If not, what I've done is to elevate. What I've done is to bring more visibility. I know of one pageant blogger in TikTok. You know, she just made a video. In fact, she made a prediction like I did, and she was talking about. She mentioned Zimbabwe. Yeah, she mentioned Zimbabwe in her predictions, but some Zimbabwe fans came for her, and they were abusing her and said that, oh, she didn't give that much support to Zimbabwe. Blah 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 blah. They rained insult on her, and she came out and said she wasn't going to talk about Zimbabwe anymore. I don't know, for those of you that are familiar with pageantry in TikTok, you know the person I'm talking about. I don't want to mention her name. I don't want to mention her name. But I follow her very well because she's very, very active on TikTok. Me, I'm not active on TikTok. I'm more active on Instagram, on YouTube and Instagram. But she's more active on TikTok. She talks generally on the African contestants. In fact, she also goes well above talking about other, she made the final predictions generally. But she put Zimbabwe in her, she talked, and some Zimbabwe fans came to her like, you didn't talk about Zimbabwe as much as we wanted you to talk about Zimbabwe. They rained insults and all that on her. And she was like, oh, with this kind of hate comments, I don't want to use that word. I don't use that word. With this type of, or with this amount of backlash that she received, she came out and said she would never mention Zimbabwe in her predictions, and she will never talk about Zimbabwe again because she had a lot of backlash from some Zimbabweans on TikTok. And I'm like, wow, this lady. If I come here and say, oh, because of all this, I will not talk about pageantry again. A lot of you will say, oh, I'm harsh, I'm this, I'm that. She said she's not going to talk about this thing again. She will not talk about pageantry again. She will talk about Zimbabwe. Sorry, she will talk about Zimbabwe again. And I saw it. I was like, wow, you see what all these so-called pageant fanatics have caused. It took the former Miss Zimbabwe, Sakile Dube, to reach out to her and tell her that, please, we are sorry on behalf of those persons that are sending you this insult and all that. On behalf of those people, I apologize to you, and please, please, please don't let this issue to stop you from talking about Zimbabwe. I don't know if you guys know Sakile Dube. She was a former Miss Universe Zimbabwe. She had to reach out to this lady on her DM and was now pleading on behalf of those, Zimbabweans, those myopic people from Zimbabwe that were, talking out of point. And she now later retraced her statement and said, okay, because of that, she's going to, retrace her statement and all that. And I'm like, you see? Okay, so Mr. Xavier is on stage with us. So that is what is going on. Xavier,
Hello? Hello?
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, my apologies. First of all, I want to say good afternoon to, or rather, good morning, afternoon to everybody who is listening, and a happy new month. I pray that God would meet every one of us at the point of our needs. I also want to congratulate the great work done by our representatives at the recently concluded Mr. and Miss Supernatural beauty pageant or beauty contest that they just concluded. But just like, and I'm trying to chime in just a little bit, this is my fifth sense. This is a public platform, and every individual do have the right to call in and air their opinions. Opinions and recollections always differ because people view things from their perspective, from their emotional or sentimental, or even their own state of mind, their brain limitations, or how exposed or how open-minded they are regarding the act of beauty pageants. But what individuals, why I'm calling in today, and I know a lot will listen to this much later, it's that people should understand that there is more to a beauty contest or a beauty pageant than meets the eye. And there are technicalities to judging a contest or representing an outfit. That's why the likes of Coach Maya, who happens to be a good friend of mine, and some other pageant coaches do take time to go to their blog and do some publications. For the audience, especially the African audience, on a more homely basis, the Nigerian front. Uh, the last concluded beauty pageant before on or before, from the onset of the most beautiful, not Miss Universe Nigeria, not the most beautiful girl now, I personally was rooting for this young lady, Miss Gift, and that for even a Miss Universe pageant that, oh, I thought this girl was cheated out from, wearing the Miss Universe pageant. I had preferred her because of her build, her body for the Miss Universe pageant. But like God, as she's a child of God, her mixed spirit. If there was anything that attracted me to that young lady, it's her spirit, it's her mannerisms. It has absolutely nothing to do with her aesthetics or physical qualities that people thought. She has a beauty that radiates from the inside, and I was magneted to that particular spirit. However, when it comes to the pageants, they judge both the physical and the inner beauty. For the individuals on Mr. The organizers of the supernatural pageants, they pay attention to humility and meekness. I have lived in Poland for 2 years, so I know the Polish behavior. I have lived in Poland for 2 years on an island there in Poland. I'm not going to say where, maybe privately I could tell you. But um, what people should understand is that preparations for a beauty contest, especially for an international contest, it's very, very important. The remarks that the likes of me has made on the wall of Miss Inda when she went to travel, it's because one, I believed she had more than enough time to go for fittings. I believe she had more than enough time to judge which makeup and which dress and which colors and which earrings it's befitting her shade before she goes on international pageant. Well, all of a sudden, after the pageant was when I discovered she had this particular coach, whom I know has worked with some boys as well during the Mrs. Competition on on the national level. And I'm like, okay, um, there could be better dresses. There are areas of opportunities. Everybody could agree with that. There could be better costumes. There is no way you will say that you are a coach of a pageant and you allow, when you know the level that the Latino girls come with on any international pageant, the Philippines, and then the rest of the world, for you to make your contestant repeat one shoe in a preliminary pageant. The preliminary pageant is much more important than the finals. Because in order for you to qualify and be given a chance to for the questioning in the finals, you have to have wowed the audience and your judges during the preliminaries. So I personally expected a better preliminary outing and a better preliminary um, performance. Will I say that Gift does not deserve the third runner up position that she got based on her consistency over and over before this contest on the leaderboard? Yes, she deserves it. From my own perspective and the most and the much that I know in beauty pageant, do I think that there was a particular moment that was a wow factor or a wow moment apart from a basic moment on her performance on stage? I don't think there was a wow moment. Every of her performance from costumes to swimsuit to all that was basic. To me, if I were Gibbs' coach, I wouldn't have given her that dress that she wore because I know that her cup size it's it, turning to small or little. I'm going to give her a dress that has an inbuilt cup that is padded to give her a volume. I would not go for that kind of the 60s hair that she wore. I would go for a more trendy and a more maybe a hair made up, but something dropping on her face, but not that particular hairstyle. So her styling was not what we were expecting as pageant fans, based on what we know that Silverbird doesn't crown early. And this girl are always with a fire brigade approach to prepare for this pageant. But she, on this other hand, had all this time to prepare for this pageant. So if somebody is expecting me to come to a show like this to say, oh, great work, great job, no, I wouldn't say that. It wasn't a great job from my perspective from her coach. Her coach should have done a better job. Her styling should have been better. I'm also of the opinion that the girl that won the pageant won it on a rigged platform. I was on the Filipinos pages yesterday and I left them my opinion and I told them if you want they said, oh, Nigerian. I said if you want to come for me, I will come for you. Because if your girl did not win, you were going to be giving other girls a tear down. You people are not doing the tear down now because your girl won on the basis of a read. How do I know that this was a basic of a read? On or before the contest, so that everybody that will listen to this would hear it. There was a publication
Okay.
made on YouTube, and that publication was where Miss Philippines was rehearsing as the queen. And on that publication, I asked them, why is it that this publication is showing only Miss Philippines rehearsing as queen? Where are the other contestants rehearsing as queen? There was a lot of publication based on rehearsals. I'm not saying that there weren't, but there was a particular rehearsals that the organizers, the national organizers of the Philippines pageant, published that Miss Philippines rehearsing as queen. When the likes of me were now putting comments on that particular video, they withdrew it. It was shortly after that I don't know who that older man was in the beauty world came out to say they already handpicked the winner because we saw that rare video where Miss Philippines was actually rehearsing for what happened on the final stage night. So we knew that something was wrong. But so I went to the Philippines blog and I was telling them all that we saw this. And then you people had the effrontery to put out a false publication saying that our queen said unworthy. I said, you people know that our queen didn't say it. And they said, oh, maybe he's not Nigerian, maybe he's from any of this other island. I said, it doesn't matter where I'm from. What happened is that you people know quite all right that this pageant was rigged. But like I was saying, that it's more to the pageant judging than what we see. Apart from the backdoor interview, these girls are judged based on their human relations. How do you relate to the makeup artist they brought? How do you relate to the photographers? How meek are you? How polite and humble are you? How kind are you to your fellow contestants? So I believe the likes of Miss Brazil, Miss Czechoslovakia, and some of these other girls, we expected that either or. I remember telling you or writing on one of your blogs that these are my top three: Miss Czech, Miss Brazil, Miss one of the other girls. And out of those five predictions, three of them made the top five. So uh, people don't know that your champion, they do contribute to your winning. The people who come to clean your room contributes to your winning. The way you talk to people. So the overall win and the placement of Miss Nda, congratulations again to her gift. It's not because there was the technicalities or her passerella or her costumes made her to win. What made her to place, from my perspective, it's the fact that she is a meek, a responsible, a humble woman. And the individuals who had worked with her backstage had chimed in to say, hey, this lady is nice. This lady has a clean spirit. And of course, and then the photographers, the organizers of the pageant would have said, nobody wants to work with a difficult model. Nobody wants to work with a difficult beauty queen. So that determines who eventually wins a pageant. Anyway, by the time I was arguing with these Philippines yesterday, two or three of them said to me, oh, Mr. Xavier, we want to tell you something you don't know about this lady. She's competed before in the Miss Universe Philippines and she did not place. But we want to tell you that this lady is very nice. We want to tell you that this lady is very humble, that they believe that it was out of the humility of all the girls they saw on stage that made top five, that they actually went for this time for humility and for kindness instead of the aesthetics. Again, the Miss Supernatural pageant be, began on the note of like Miss World in the sense that they do rotate their crown. Meaning, if this region have it this year, their spotlight is on another region. By so doing, they are encouraging all the girls from the other regions to be able to come in and participate. Okay, the South America got it this time. This time we're going to take it to Asia, and we're going to make sure that our top five are coming from these different continents. And then next year we will take it to Europe, and maybe another year we're going to take it to Africa. So that is the rationale behind the placement of the queens of how their top 10 were announced because they do their patterns based on geographical rotation, but primarily they don't look into physical beauty or the passerella beauty like the Miss, like most of these vain patterns like uh, allegedly like Miss Universe and MB, Miss whatever, All Stars. You know, they are basically on physical and aesthetics looks. This pattern it got nothing to do with aesthetics. Based on support, you were the one that didn't let me know that um, Nigeria was actually blocked from not, in YouTube and live stream social media because I went to the live blog and I was the only one there. raising the flag for people who say, oh, you said this about her costumes, you said this about her, this has absolutely nothing to do with you, Lady Abby. I'm referring to what the attack I got from Pageant Analyst Wall. And I went back to Pageant Analyst Wall and I said, every one of you that has been loud-mouthed, where are you people supporting this girl on her live show, supporting and voting? I was the only one there flying the flag of Nigeria until a lady called Just Lucy, also from the American continent, came in and joined. And then later, one individual that I have seen on your blog called Mr. Divine came in after the top five. Shortly after, one Yoruba man came before the announcement. So all in all, on a live contest, we were only four. Meanwhile, the likes of the Philippines were having like 1 million of the people voting for their contestants. So I want to believe that the individuals that come to make such statements are people that are just scrolling to say, let's see what's going on, and they just make very terrible remarks. They don't know anything about pageants, and they're not even pageant fans. Because if they know, they will be able to know how to put where their money where their mouth is, and that is, a pageant is coming up. Pay for a live stream subscription because the likes of us pay for it to be able to support our candidates. So I want to personally apologize to you if you got any backlash on your page or individuals coming to attack you. Ignore those individuals. They know absolutely nothing about what a positive criticism is when it comes to beauty pageants. They don't even understand the technicalities of beauty pageants. They don't know what a shoulder and an arm carriage is. They don't know what a tall and a twist is. They don't know what a pose is, and understanding your angles, using your angles to your advantage when you're on the stage and the pageant. And that is what the powerhouse pageants have mastered. The likes of the Philippines, they know how to cover their flaws and accentuate what they have, and their performances on stage, it's more than basic. So any coach who is trying to coach, whether it's our beauty queens for international and national pageant, should be able to teach these girls, these are your strong points, these are your weak points, these are your angle points, these are your camera points, this is the side you have to look, this is how you have to look. And then they have to teach them to go in for fittings. This shoe goes for this dress. You have to understand the physique of the individual that you're working with. Oh, she's small here, she's big here. You have to choose the clothing according to um, the body type and the physique of your contestant. You don't just pick an outfit, you just don't pick a costume to say, oh, this is the story behind the costume. What is the story behind Miss Supernatural? Miss Supernatural is saying, represent a woman in your country who has succeeded with a supernatural power in a male dominated pageant. So I saw people saying the national costume is not the same as traditional costume. Your traditional costume and your national costume and your cultural costumes are the same. It depends on the stage where you're using it. If you wear a full ashoke to represent your country on on the international level, it becomes your national costume. Whatever you wear to represent your country automatically becomes your natural costume. We've seen it in the past with the MBGN girls and the rest of the world. So it's very, very important that coaches understand first the rationale and the motto and the alignment of the pageant their girl is representing. Once, and then you understand the term of the year's pageant. The term of last year's pageant is not the same thing as the term of this year pageant. Go see Miss Earth. It changes. So you learn how to prepare your girl for the pageant they're going to. For the individuals to start attacking the likes audience like me or bloggers like you that I mentioned that the girl wore the same shoe. That is a flaw from her coach because her coach has said, wear the same shoe. No, if your girl is comfortable with a certain kind of heel, a poppy heel or a stiletto heel or a rosemary block heel, choose different colors of those heels. She can still wear rosemary block heel to compete in all sections, but buy a blue, a green, a nude, a red, She cannot wear the same. Buy her the same kind of shoe in different colors. And then tell her her dress. So I'm not in any way faulting Gift. She worked with a team. The team she worked with did a terrible job with her makeup, with her dress. And I'm not going to apologize to that coach because it's what I saw, it's what I noticed, it's what I am saying. I worked with a gentleman that competed in the last Mrs. competition. And before he was going for Mrs., his designer was trying to force a certain jacket and a certain costume on him. And I told his designer, no, in as much as you are his designer, you cannot force your designs on him because his body will not be able to wear that design that you want him to wear. I asked him, give me your designer's phone. I'm not residing in Nigeria, I'm offshore. I called the designer, I said, this is the fabric I want you to buy. This is the style of his suit. You can't change it because he doesn't have the body of the individual you're trying for him to mimic. I said, when you are no, that's not him. One of the girls that had gone for MBGN for her gown, I actually was on the phone from the US and he was in Aba Market shopping for her fabric. I was on the phone to make sure that the right fabric was purchased for my contestant. So, for people to start pointing blames that somebody made a statement, somebody made that, and the worst is that these people don't air their opinions. What they do is insult you for airing your opinion. That I'm against, and Africans should be educated to understanding the rudiments of party. And the floor is open for everybody to air their opinion. So congratulations again to Gift, congratulations again to the gentleman, their coaches and Silverbird or whatever platform should be able to do a better job next time for a better placement. I owe nobody no apologies. This is my opinion. Come and air your opinion. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr.
Yes, thank you so much for that extensive about this issue. Thank you so much. You've really touched on all the areas that I was in fact all the areas that we talked about or that needed to be talked about. Okay, so thank you so much for that extensive review on their performances, and hopefully we pray that this issue will not repeat itself again going forward, with the next set of Nigerian contestants. But at the same time, I think that we need to learn from this experience. It's a learning process. We don't need to say, oh, we let's leave sentiment aside. It's a learning process for everybody. But at the same time, if you're not ready to learn from those that have experience, then you're not going to be successful at what you do when it comes to this pageantry. A lot of people have more experience, and when they are speaking, very important that we listen. At the same time, we have people that are not not
Exactly. And I'm not saying I'm the best expert when it comes to this, but there are basic things that the pageant world is looking out for. Pageant analyst or one of a pageant commentator or somebody has put something, and this has nothing to do with Miss Supernatural. This has something to do with upcoming Miss Globe International. And Aisha is leading. Aisha has been leading the chart. Just the way Gift
yes.
was part of the individuals leading on or before a pre-arrival. And I have said to them, I posted 4 things there. I said, if you people want this girl to win, there are 5 basic things she needs to do. Number 1, she needs to begin to engage in her fans by going live. This is not unboxing one shoe or one suitcase she received. No, she needs to begin to engage her fans. The fans needs to know her on the local and an international level. So international bloggers, people like I was with Global Beauties as a contributor of Global Beauties before it went down. People like Global Beauties who are just only operating from Instagram now will be able to see it. And then the organizers of the international pageant will see how engaging she is with her audience. That will earn her more votes, And if she goes for an international pageant, it's not going to be a novice to the people. It's not just her picture. Two, Aisha lost out when she went for Miss Universe pageant because her courage is very lazy. She needs to put in a lot of energy and be fierce the way she walks and the way she talks. People have different demeanor. We understand, like Aisha and Ruth talk, and Git, I beg your pardon, talk almost the same. They are soft spoken, but there's a level of energy and enthusiasm that you have to sound. People need to see how enthusiastic you are when you talk and when you speak. Aisha lacks that enthusiasm when she speaks. She's not enthusiastic when she talks. She's not in command of her words. I said she and her coach needs to learn how she needs to talk and her voice modulation. That is one. Originally, if I come on your show, this is not how I talk. I try to speak up because of the distance and network issue. So I'm trying to like attack my words each time I come on this show so that people can hear because the network can go off and come down. Even sometimes I put messages on my Instagram, they are not sounding well from my phone. So I try to speak hard so that people can hear. She also needs to work on her passerella because Miss Globe, it's more of a fashion pageant. It's more of a modeling pageant. They need to work on her passerella. She needs to learn how to raise her legs. So for the lovers of Aisha and Miss Global, you people can take this message back to her. She has to also be very ready for the preliminaries. So when it counts, she performs. It's not that you're leading the leaderboard. Now, when it now comes to the prelims and when it counts or your backdoor interview, you flops and people will say things and other people will get upset about it. That is not support. It's not that it's not a question of support. It's a question of preparing and doing the right thing. And it's almost 1 year she has been appointed as Miss Global. Now I want to give her flowers when it comes to the most solid introductory video that she sent in. Her introductory video for the past 6 years, I have not seen in any platform an introductory video better off than her video. The last 8 time Nigeria sent in a good introductory video on all international pageant platform was during, and I was at that pageant for this girl, what's her name now? Chinasa. Debbie Collins, when she went for Miss World and later went for Miss Universe. She was the one with a good introductory video and she talked well. A one-time MBGN first runner up. So Aisha should begin to do the right thing before she goes for Miss Global. Otherwise, we will have the same talk. So whomsoever is her coach should listen and listen to her areas of opportunity and they should work with her. Thank you again, Miss Abby, Lady Abby. Whomsoever wants to contribute, this is my contribution.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. Thank you very much. And I want to pinpoint certain things. Yes, I like I said, the results did not what's the word? Did not reflect the Q&A. So I mentioned that in the live stream that somebody was accusing the organizers of handpicking the winner. So I think at this point, there are so many other criteria that they use to judge the winners, like you mentioned, their personalities, their meekness, their humility. So those are the things, factors that they need to put into consideration. But at the same time, when it came to the Q&A, I don't think the final result reflected the Q&A, because if you look at the question and answer round, Philippines did not really answer the question. She didn't really answer the question very well, in as much as you know, it was a fair, fair judgment. But at the end of the day, let's just to be sincere. Philippines did not answer the question. Czech Republic was just there. I think at the end of the day, I think it was between Nigeria and was it between Nigeria and I don't think Czech answered the question very well. Brazil did not answer the question. Who else again on that top five? I think Nigeria was the best in Q&A. Nigeria was the best in Q&A, but at the same time, the result did not really reflect the
Exactly. I did mention to them on the their platform, on the Filipinos platform. I said Miss Nigeria gave the most concise answer to the question, and she was within the time limit. And they were telling me, no, that Miss Filipino spoke better. I said, no, go back and watch the pageant. It's recorded. So it was already a rigged pageant. I told them I was not feeling bad that Miss Nigeria placed third runner up. I remember texting you. I said, based on this question and answer, I remember texting you when the contest was on. I said, I'm expecting Nigeria to be first runner up. If you remember, I texted you. I said, "Oh, Lady Abby, based on this, I'm expecting that the least Nigeria was going to get is first runner up." So I was expecting Gift to get first runner up, and immediately they called her for third runner up. Immediately they called Miss Check because she really didn't nail her question. I said, "Oh, these people are going to." So obviously they rigged this pageant based on that leaked video. I just knew they were not going to give her the first runner up position. But that's okay. Her efforts did not go in vain. Would I have preferred her for Continental Queen instead of the third runner up? Yes. I would have preferred they had given her the Continental Crown compared to this third runner up. Because the third runner up or fourth runner up or second runner up, you don't really sign any contracts with the organization. So she really doesn't have anything that is going to be taking her back to Miss Supernatural, except she's been invited. But if they had given her the Continental Queen, she signs a contract with them that she is Miss Supernatural Continental for the entire Africa. And she gets the opportunity to be able to travel to other African countries and do stuff. As a third runner-up, she doesn't have those privileges. This Miss Tanzania, I believe Zimbabwe or Tanzania, that got the Continental Queen, yeah, it's the one that has that opportunity to all those gifts and all those travels, because there are gifts that you receive when you travel. If she comes to Nigeria, they will give her a gift. If she goes to Ghana, they give her a gift. If she goes across the whole African continent, they give her a gift. Miss Gift Inda, on the other hand, as a third runner-up, she doesn't have the privileges to do all those travels under the company because she's just a third runner-up. So I would have preferred her to be Continental Queen. Either she was first runner up, because the first runner up position is that if the winner is not able to fulfill her rules and obligation, the first runner up takes over. So the chances of they inviting her often to take over from the Queen is there. But as a second runner up or third runner up or fourth runner up, you don't get anything. Maybe the cash prize is good, but that's after all, you don't sign any particular paper contract that the Continental Queen will sign to say, I'm going to rule the African continent for this next 1 year, and I happen to be the one to travel and become the face and the mouthpiece of all the African girls for Miss Supernatural for this next 1 year. So I preferred the Continental Queen crown for her. For people who don't understand pageants, they will come for me and say, oh, what did he say? It's not true. Her placing third runner up is better off. No, her placing third runner up is just a placement. She does not have any contract with Miss Supernatural. The individual who has a contract is the Continental Queen, because she is the one the organization has chosen to work with, not the Nigerian girl. Until people begin to understand these differences in placement and titles, they wouldn't say the things we are saying when they understand better. So I would have preferred a Continental Queen, but she did a great job and her spirit is at peace. She should come back and, release a crown. And then wishing her well in her new endeavors regarding everything. For Mr. Supernatural, on this platform and all other platforms, I have reserved my comment. I don't want to say anything about him. I don't want to, I don't have I have an opinion I'm not going to share. And that's it. So I don't want anybody to feel bad. He didn't say anything about Mr. Supernatural because I would have changed everything regarding him if I were his coach. Everything. I'm not going to leave a single thing, from the choice of clothes, from his courage, from everything. So I'm going to reserve my comments when it comes to him. But congratulations again to him for placing top 10. I like his spirit. If there's one thing I like about him, he's a spirit, he's in high spirit, and his confidence. Any other thing, I reserve my comment. Again, thank you for this wonderful show, and thank you for always opening your doors for me to air my opinion. And what people don't understand is that I'm not residing in Nigeria. If I were residing in Nigeria, they will see me in person and see my face more. But um, the likes of you and the likes of Coach Maya and the other people that I'm in touch with, I will remain in touch with. Thank you very much. And keep up the good work on your show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you for today. I don't have much to say, but like I said, my subscribers, Mr. Video has really touched on all the areas that we I wanted to talk about. Touched on all the areas. So what I want to say is that going forward, we want to appreciate the people, the persons that that are behind as contestants, even if we have our observations, but at the same time, we want to really appreciate them and say thank you for their efforts. But at the same time, there's still room for improvement, and that is why we are here to talk about these issues as regards our contestant. But once again, I want to say congratulations to Mr. Supranational Nigeria and Miss Supranational Nigeria. Thank you so much for making the country proud once again. And yes, that is it for today. So I'll be ending the live very soon. Going to ask no or end it very soon. Thank you. Not comment down below in the comment section. Let us know your thoughts on this particular topic and what you think as regards the performance of Nigeria in the in this competition. All right. So what I would say at the end of the day is let us come together uh, to support the contestants, no matter what. We don't. It's not a why we have different opinions. We start having issues with. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So at the end of the day, we'll start having issues amongst ourselves. That's not the aim of this platform. My platform is to unify everybody, unify pageant bloggers, unify them, bring visibility to the contestants. That is my aim here on this particular channel. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm going to see you all in another live stream, another video coming up very soon. Good night, everyone, and have a wonderful Sunday.